Hi, my name is Morris Tan. I had the honor of serving as the U.S. Ambassador at Large for Global Criminal Justice, which was the top U.S. policy position in regards to mass atrocity crimes, genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity. I currently serve as a Senior Executive Director of the Center for Law and Government at Liberty University School of Government. And prior to that, I served as Liberty's Dean of the School of Law.
From your perspective as a legal scholar and diplomat, what is the current state of human rights in North Korea?
The human rights situation in North Korea, in my view, and I'm aware of many horrific situations in the world, is the worst in the world in North Korea. It's so bad that I coined a term to describe it. The term is rightlessness, because the people of North Korea do not have any of their rights respected by the Kim regime in North Korea. And thus they live in a state of rightlessness. It is a country of rightlessness, and there is literally no right that the people have, that this criminal cult of a regime just tramples on all their rights. There are concentration camps hidden many times in places like between mountains and places like that, where think about the concentration camps of people like Hitler and Mao and Stalin, and it is no exaggeration to say that these concentration camps are like those. And it's even worse in a way because 3 generations are punished there. So you can be born and live your entire life in one of these total control zone concentration camps because of something that your grandparents did. And the level of torture and the types of torture are so horrific that it defies being able to speak of it in polite conversation. It is so horrible. The North Korean regime has murdered some 15 million of its own people and has engaged in war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. Genocide against those who are not completely Korean, genocide also against Christians. And these are mass atrocity crimes that North Korea needs to be held accountable for.
In your experience, what are the most significant challenges the international community faces when addressing human rights violations in North Korea?
The international community needs to rise up against these injustices that are happening in North Korea. The 2014 Commission of Inquiry report helped to put North Korean human rights on the map, I think, more than any other single thing. And now we are a decade out from that Commission of Inquiry report, and yet there has not been meaningful accountability and justice in regards to the gross injustices perpetrated by the Kim regime. And whether that occurs through an already existing court, whether international or mixed or domestic, I'm more concerned that it actually happen and move forward, and secondarily concerned about where exactly it happens. It also could happen in South Korea itself, because according to the Korean Constitution, all Koreans, including those in North Korea, are Koreans for the purposes of the South Korean Constitution. Therefore, there is legal jurisdiction over Kim Jong-un and the top leadership of North Korea who are perpetrating these injustices. There needs to be the will and the determination to move forward with prosecution, whether in Korea, whether in Germany under universal jurisdiction, whether in the International Criminal Court. I personally went to the prosecutors there and urged them to seek justice in regards to the situation in North Korea, but it has been inadequate so far, and there's a great need still for justice to be wrought in regards to North Korea.
As a Christian and the former ambassador at large for global criminal justice, how does your faith influence your work, particularly when addressing the atrocity in North Korea?
So as a follower of Jesus Christ, my faith impacts my whole life. So whether it's in my governmental service or any other aspect of my life, I want it to be under the lordship and rule of God. I do not claim perfection in this regard. In fact, I readily say that I've been an imperfect follower of Jesus Christ. But as much as that's the case, I still want it to be comprehensively impactful upon everything. So, for example, my desire and passion for justice, I believe, comes ultimately from God, whose very character is just. I believe that whatever gifts He has given me, whether it's opportunities or whether it's particular talents, those also come from Him. And so, in all these things, I try to have my faith impact all of it and to make it better than it would be if it was just me operating without God. I think He makes everything better, and everything that is good is a gift from Him. And so really, whether it's serving as a U.S. ambassador or whether it's serving as an ambassador to the King of Kings, whether it's my family life or whether it's anything else, I try to do so with Him as the overriding priority in it.
What role do you see the church play in the potential unification of North and South Korea?
I believe that the church, the Christian church, has, frankly, the central role in regards to the unification of North and South Korea. Why? Because first and foremost, it's the Christian church who is praying to the one true God, who is sovereign over this whole situation. And just like He did with respect to the fall of the Iron Curtain and the Berlin Wall in Eastern Europe, He can do the same with respect to the Korean Peninsula. How exactly He will do it, I do not know. Also, the more I work in North Korea circles that are dealing with North Korea, trying to do something to help North Korea, to help the Korean Peninsula, I find not everyone, but overwhelmingly, it's mainly the Christians who are doing something about it. Whether it's risking their own lives in helping refugees to escape, or whether it is sending information into North Korea, there are many ways that these organizations work. What I've found is overwhelmingly, it is Christians who are involved in this work. And so I actually believe that the Christian church has a central role in regards to the unification and also the improvement of the situation on the Korean Peninsula.
In light of the current geopolitical situation, how realistic is the prospect of Korean unification? And what steps do you believe are necessary for this to happen?
So I believe that God is the ultimate reality. And because I believe God is the ultimate reality, and I believe He's almighty and He's sovereign over it all, I think that when you ask whether it's realistic to contemplate the reunification, my answer is yes, because I believe He is the more real than any of us. He's been eternally real before any of us existed, and He continues to be the foundational reality for everything. If that is true, and I believe it is, then I think in His time, in His way, He is going to bring it about. He can use different people, and I think He delights to use people in these sorts of processes. But ultimately, because our sovereign God, I believe, is going to move along these lines, I think it is completely realistic. Could be means by which God works to bring about the reunification. So I do think it is actually realistic.
Given the deep-rooted division and the history of conflict between the South and North, how can the message of the gospel serve as a bridge for peace and reconciliation?
The gospel of Jesus Christ reconciles heaven with earth, with humanity with God. And because of the gospel, we become ministers of reconciliation. And because we are ministers of reconciliation, we can then be involved in the reconciliation process, not just among individual people, but amongst greater groups of people, even countries. And so I do think that the gospel of Jesus Christ has at its heart a reconciling message, and also the power that God gives to be able to reconcile what may appear irreconcilable, what may appear to be something that where the gap cannot be bridged. While we were yet his enemies, Jesus died for us to reconcile God with us. And so, in a sense, that lays the foundation, that gives us the example, he also gives us the power to be able to be agents of, ministers of reconciliation.
What gives you hope for the future of South and North Korea? And how can the international Christian community pray and advocate for peace?
You know, when I consider all the Korean Christians who are praying in early morning prayer, sometimes all night prayer, corporate prayer, individual prayer, as well as the Korean churches here in the United States, doing so as well, I firmly believe that the reason why there has been unprecedented growth and movement in the Christian church in Korea, unlike any other country in church history, I think prayer has been central to that. And so praying for peace, praying for justice, praying for reunification, these are all things that God can accomplish. And as his people pray, to be able to move the hand of the Almighty, the primary conduit through which that happens is through prayer. And so I sincerely believe that these things, as we pray for them, God can work and God can do abundantly and exceedingly above what we can ask or think or imagine. Please like or subscribe. 만나에서 만나요.